All right, man. What's going on, folks? Kenneth here, 100 Years of Wealth, tapping in. Thanks for tapping into the podcast. So this is going to be a little different. We're still getting going on the whole channel. Got some different things coming, but today I got my boy James.
What up?
He is a good friend, longtime friend, also business partner. He works with me within the mortgage company. Yeah. And, this is going to be a little bit off the cuff. We're just going to kind of touch on a few different topics that kind of revolve around our industry. And then also, whatever comes up, because, we don't really need to be too attached to a topic. We can kind of just freestyle it.
Freestyle, that's it.
See what comes up. But yeah, so today a big thing that's going on in our industry is that the Feds hiked the fucking rates again. 0.75 increase.
Yeah, man, tell me about that, dude. It was crazy.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
We kind of anticipated, it happening, but it actually, it kind of really hits you when they actually really do it. You know what I mean? Too, is like, man, you just trying to figure out ways to help clients out, and these rates just keep going up. So it's putting a lot of people in just difficult situations still. But good thing is that there's always still going to be a need for clients to either buy or refinance for different scenarios, especially in these times of inflation where people have to really save up money and maybe use their house as leverage to kind of help themselves out. So it's definitely tough.
Yeah, I hear you. Do you obviously the I guess the goal with raising interest rates is to put a slow on inflation.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that shit's even working? Because we're a few quarters in, a few interest rates raised, and the inflation's kind of still hovering around the same. But
very minimal, I think. I think what's happening too is that because people are still borrowing a lot of money from different banks and stuff like that. As much as the Feds want to slow down things, it's because people are borrowing money and still spending money at different places. So that's until they can clamp down and slow down the lending of money out. I think that's the time that we'll maybe start seeing the inflation go down, but it will probably have a little bit of a delay still, I think, in my mind.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's I understand the concept of slowing the ability to borrow, because that's the whole thing. If interest rates are higher, then people are gonna spend less on their credit cards, which means that they're going to buy less shit, or people are going to refinance less, take out cash less, in turn meaning lower their buying activity. So when that happens, then that allows, I guess, the supply chain to catch up a little bit. But it's just it's this long chain of things that ends up leading to prices being higher. But I'm like, is this, and this is truly a question, because I really don't know enough to really give a solid answer, but it's is what the Fed's doing are they guessing too? Are they just hoping? Because I'm like, wouldn't it be if I was the government and I was looking at the root cause of inflation, right? I feel like they're trying to hit it from the end cause, okay, well, this is the only thing that we can control, and we're going to raise this interest rate, as opposed to some sort of regulation that limits the amount that companies can increase their costs at a certain rate. I don't even know if that makes sense.
I think they're just basing things on history, that raising the rates, and that's the traditional way of trying to slow down the market. But I think there's just so much going on ever since COVID, that it's more to it now. You touch base on the supply chain. Well, that's still going to be screwed up for a while, right? I mean, one of the biggest things they're talking about, with a lot of stuff that, Schwarzenegger passed for the environment regarding using trucks, that's supposed to take an effect later on this year, where a lot of diesel trucks are not going to be able to be used. So forcing a lot of truckers to either stop driving or buy new trucks. So that's going to slow things down. And then I'm hearing about the railroad people too, that they're going to be picketing, striking, because they want more wages, and stuff like that for different reasons. So that's going to screw up our supply chain even more. So we definitely expect, cost of goods to even go higher to the roof. So it's gonna be a problem. I think the Fed definitely has his hands full for sure for a while. I think it might be a whole year around the same time that we'll probably start seeing things in the positive, maybe by that time, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
So they got to fuck up our industry prior to...
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, had to be our industry on how to screw that shit up, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like one of those things, like if you are in a market driven industry, like, you know, the ups are up, the downs are down for you, you know, because like my wife, she's an attorney, and it's like like she's been an attorney for now like 11 years,
right?
And the slows or the lows in production that I've seen on their end is never market driven. It's always their company. It's always like, does that company have like a strong sales force or like a client acquisition process? Because there's some companies that she worked for that were like smaller firms where the names on the placard, like, you know, Smith, Johnson, and whatever, those guys were in the office and they were working their clients that they had for the last 20 to 30 years.
Right.
While other law firms, like the one she currently works for, they're massive. They're like a global law firm. They have people that are out there, and the people are like some of the attorneys, but they have people that are constantly trying to acquire business. So I feel like in her industry, the production is the lows and the ups and downs are more driven by just if you guys are still doing business with the same clients, or if those clients have moved on elsewhere. It's not necessarily because rates went up, you know.
Right.
But in our industry, it's a direct impact, you know, and obviously we've seen it, you know, pretty heavy with the refinance side of the business, because it's like once interest rates go up, it really makes it hard. Like once there's a significant jump, and like this year we've seen probably like a 3% jump on the interest rates. Across the board, right? Like we went from being able to do a 30-year fix at the end of 2021 at like 3% to now 6% is like the par interest rate roughly. You could probably pay a point or so and get into the fives, which, you know, for me, I came in the industry at a time where the rates were 5-6%, so it's not like a crazy thing, but in comparison to last year, it's a big difference for a lot of people.
We're all spoiled.
The
last 2 years, you know?
Spoiled.
Yeah.
And then it gives you like this fake mind state that, hey, they must be coming back, right? It must get lower again, when it's like, who knows, we might be in this market, you know, going forward, and then it might go into a higher market, and then we come down. True. You know, it's really kind of hard to say.
It's funny you touch base on that, because I happened to look at some data showing history, like you were saying, the rates used to be in the 5s and 6s a few years out, but only because because the COVID came up, that's when the rates went down to zero, allowing these 2.5-3% ranges to even be there. But now, you know, people are so used to that, they're not realizing that a few years before that, the 5% to 6% was the norm back then.
Right.
You know, too. So yeah, I understand too from that.
Yeah, and then like partially, like I don't know exactly when they had gotten down to the 3s, because I thought they were like, lose that light, but I thought they were a little bit lower before COVID. Like they were in that range before, but like 2008, 2009, after like the meltdown, the whole Fed's doing what do they call it, quantitative easing, where they're buying bonds and basically artificially kind of like propping up the mortgage-backed securities market. I think that's
what they're trying to do now. But the same thing they're doing now, I think.
Buying bonds again, I thought that was the whole thing, that they stopped buying bonds. I don't want to say stopped, but like I thought they had scaled back on buying bonds, which was basically keeping the interest rates low.
Okay. I could be wrong. I thought that was one of their plans that they were trying to do, you know.
Yeah. Anyone correct me in the comments. I'm probably wrong because I'm not giving all the exact, but yeah, basically interest rates after 2008 were artificially kept down because, you know, partially because they were doing the quantitative easing, buying tons of bonds, and you know, once COVID came along, from what I understand, with the fact that like COVID was basically the spike in inflation, right? Like when they started dishing out so much money for PPP loans and, you know, employee tax credits and, you know, SBA,
just giving free money, right?
Trillions of dollars in free money. That increase in money supply to the market will obviously, like, you know, increase inflation, you know, and it's crazy how that happens, because that shit, it's like looking back on it, it's so obvious, right? But when it's going on, people are like, oh, great.
You know, people are happy, right? You get the $1,500 check, $2,000 check, it sounds great. Next you know, the government says, hey, here's a middle finger to you guys. By the way, gas prices are $6.
Right, and see, that's the thing though. It's like, I think that in a different, let's say a different emergency, right? Like in an emergency that did not create a supply chain issue, right? Because that's the thing. It's like if you have an increase of people, let's just keep it simple. Let's say TVs. You have an increase in ability of people to buy TVs, right? but a decreased ability to get those TVs to the market,
right.
Immediately you're going to have stock shortages. You're going to have inventory shortages. You're going to have people that are controlling the inventory that's available have the ability to mark it up right away. And then also, later on in the pandemic, probably towards the end of the pandemic, if it's technically over, but this year you have the shit with Russia and Ukraine, which created a massive issue with gas prices. Gas prices fucking affect truck shipping and all. You know what I mean? It just becomes this like this big old chain of events that lead to that TV costing a lot more. And it's so crazy because like honestly, like a lot of times I'll kind of blank out to certain things like that, like cost of goods and shit. I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. And then you start seeing the basic shit cost more than you ever thought you would pay for a gallon of milk, dude. Like a gallon of milk right now for like we try to get organic milk.
Yeah, all fancy.
We're fancy,
No more of that whole milk, huh?
Oh man, fuck that bullshit. Homogenized bullshit.
You forgot where you grew up at.
Yeah, we're drinking a homogenized 2% fat milk. but now the organic milk, that shit was $10.
Damn,
I swear to God, bro, it was like $9.99. $10. It was either $9.99 or $10.99 at the grocery store the other day. Fucking ridiculous, right? So that's when I understand like what the Fed's trying to do, and I'm sure that there's some conspiracy theorists can tell me like that there's probably some crooked shit going on somewhere, and it's probably because of some crooked shit that happened before.
Yeah.
But I do understand the concept that if prices keep rising, like you may be able to afford that $10 gallon of milk, I might be able to afford it, but if it's putting sticker shock to you, imagine what it's doing to someone with a lot less income, along with all the other things that go up. So
that really just focus on like budgeting, especially for
for
food.
Sure,
yeah,
for sure,
it's very big.
Dude, your bill ends up like if you look at it from one item that goes up 25%, or if you just look at it overall, it's like your bill goes from $200 dollars, let's just say that, to what's 25%, like another $50 on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
So that could have been your gas money, we get it, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. The one thing that I wonder about is the fact that, income is up, employment is strong, supposedly. So I'm just like, okay, like can we afford the increases?
Yeah. I think you're right, it is up, but it's just the price of everything else is much higher than that.
It neutralizes it.
Yeah, if not, it's still higher, I think, to a certain point.
The inflation makes it...
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking myself. If wages is up, 5%, but inflation's still 8%, you're still behind.
Right.
And that's the problem I see too. So...
Yeah. See, man, I was thinking about inflation and shit, and I was just like, how could you as an individual kind of like combat it on your own? And I think the way... Like, obviously, you can't really control the supply chain and all that shit, but I think it's like wasting less, like...
It's just being smart with your money more.
Being smarter with your money and, like, just like... Because a lot of shit gets wasted, dude. There's so many times where, like, whether it's just, like, a little bit of something like a lettuce, right? Like, you have a head of lettuce, a portion of it ends up going bad because you don't use it all. I'm like, use all that shit and... You kind of like if you, in comparison to maybe previous, right? Like if at one time, let's say when inflation's lower, you're just like kind of a little more willy-nilly with it. You're like, hey, fucking, I use a toothpaste, I toss the shit away, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, so that's a bad example, but a good example. But let's say that you use a toothpaste and you toss the shit away. Now, you fucking, like, roll that bitch up and you get that extra 10% that you paid for out of it.
So you're gonna start counting paper towels now, too, that you use?
Exactly. You better wipe your ass just a little bit less.
That's funny.
No, but honestly, I think that if you... you can't do that with everything, but if you're just a little more conscious with your usage, it'll lower your outgoing, and you might be able to find a way to break even. Like
or even a better example would be like eating out.
Exactly.
If you're used to eating out like 4 or 5 times a week, maybe you just taper that down. Maybe twice a week. Learn to cook at home and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like and buy in bulk. Where you can and just do it that way. You save X amount of money per month just by doing those little things.
For sure, and that's literally like what we've done, and like it's partially like to save money, but also partially to like not waste money. Like 'cause I was always the mindset of like you can't save yourself to riches, right? Like you can't save your way to wealth. but you could help your ass out. You could help yourself to wealth by not like just treating money like it's like, oh, I'm making money, so fuck it. No, like slow down.
Yeah.
Don't like just be so willy nilly with the shit.
Do I really need these 10th pair of Jordans right now?
You know what? I need to buy some new Jordans. Nah, honestly, that was another thing. I was like, it's part of the instant gratification shit. Like I was plugged into the Nike app, right?
Yeah.
The Nike Plus sneaker app, so I'd be getting notifications, and the notification would pop up, and I'd be like, oh shit, like this is exclusive. If I don't get it now, it's gonna be gone. Yeah. Worst case, I could resell it on the fucking on the aftermarket and shit, and then I would jump on it, and then I would have this like gratification when the box came when I got home. Like, oh shit, yeah, these are dope. And you get caught up in that cycle, and then and then I'm just like, I turned off the app. I stopped getting the notifications, and I don't even give a fuck. I don't even like check the app anymore. But yeah, so like easing back on shit like that can like shit that doesn't matter. You know, that shit really doesn't matter at all. Unless that's your business, you know. But yeah, like with the food shit, we pretty much like we're like, okay, we're gonna limit eating out, mainly because, you know, for one, stop wasting food that's in the fridge, save money, and then also make it more valuable, right? Like when you eat out every day, it just starts to taste like trash. It's not even exciting. We're like, when we eat out, let's go out, let's have a good time, and make it different, not just like because we're being lazy, you know. Right. So like we started cooking at home, and now like. You know, when you've come to the office previously, we always go to lunch, you know, and like parking is what, 18 or 20 bucks here. Fucking crazy. Lunch ends up being another 20 bucks, you know. God forbid you have a fucking beer. You spent like 60 bucks just to go to work, you know? Just
to go visit you, right?
Yeah, just to come visit your boy. But now, dude, like it's also convenient, but I'm like, dude, I bring like shit from home that makes sure that everything from at the house doesn't go to waste, because I'm like, all right, let me just grab this shit, leftovers, or make a little salad or whatever. And I'm definitely saving money, you know. It's like spend money on the shit that you can't avoid, like fucking like the parking. I have to park here, or I thought about Ubering sometimes, but I'm like, that's $15 each way. You know, I'm like, it might be better just to either ride with wifey if I wanted to save money on parking and shit, or just, you know, just not spend money on lunch and shit. You know,
it's true. No, very true, man. I mean, these are difficult times and unique and weird times. You know, you want to take control wherever you can, and one thing you can take control is your finances by, like you said, spending wisely and saving where you can. And I look at it right now, as you know, as this time that we just grind and start, you know, building our foundation. So when the next cycle turns around in a couple of years, whether it's a mortgage or whatever industry, we know as a society, we're going to get out of this sooner or later. For sure. So this is the time we want to use wisely, and, you know, just like I said, just build, so that way when that next wave comes, we're ready just to tackle it and just, you know, reap all the benefits from it. You know, plant these seeds now and then reap the fruit later. You know? So
that's how I feel too, especially within like our business model. It's like there will be another. The word cycle to me sometimes is like a unique word where it's like it kind of indicates a circle when things are more like different, you know, up and down or whatever. But in this, you know, because everyone understands that term, like there will be a cycle where things kind of like, you know, either rates tick down a little bit and create a little space where people kind of like are more incentivized to refinance, or whatever, you know, things will adjust to where the market picks back up, you know, in the mortgage industry. But what I think, like you were saying, it's like if you really plant your feet down and create a business that is successful in tough times, right? There's a lot of industries that aren't necessarily like their profits might adjust depending on the market, but it's not like gonna tank them, you know. While in our industry, if you're not prepared the right way, your shit will close down. You know what I mean? Like you'll literally,
and we've seen it already with some lenders.
Seen it. Like within a couple of weeks of shit really hitting the fan, there was like big lenders like, well, all right, guys, we were holding on by a string, you know. And I think that's just them not having big enough vision of like what could change their income flow to where, you know, they can't support their expenses, you know. And it's like you should have had like let's talk about Sprout, you know. And I liked I liked working with Sprout Mortgage. They were cool. This isn't like, I'm not gonna talk shit about them necessarily, but like. And this is for anyone that like recently shut down, right? Or has shut down. I would think that like a model for them that should have also been running at the same time was like some sort of like home-based agent, you know, whether it's like they have a group of account executives that are on a, you know, different type of compensation plan where it's more of like a like kind of like an independent setup. You know what I mean? Like something where it's like low overhead, high return for the agent, maybe lower profit for the company, but it's like a sustainable portion of income.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of like if you think of a lot of these companies out there that run apps or get paid off of like the gig economy, like Angie's List and shit like that. Angie's List will basically set up full contractor work and make a small portion on it, and if shit hit the fan in the industry, they're probably just like a small call center of tech people fucking handling shit. You know, it's not
no
like,
huge overhead like that. Yeah, crazy. Yeah.
So I think that like obviously these companies, you know, they're operating a certain way for a reason. Probably made great profit when things were good, but I think like longevity is having that flexibility to really go down to a very low incoming profit and still survive for a strong amount of time.
I'm sure they probably could have survived, but who knows what happened internally. They could have been overexposed one way or another that caused them to close the doors, abruptly. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel bad for the people that worked there that kind of got, shocked right away when they happened to give them little to no notice.
Hey, streamhomeloan.com is hiring. If you guys would like to come on over, we're here for you.
We won't do that to you guys, trust me.
We're not going anywhere. But so it is a crazy time, but I do think it's I think that like if we can we people in the industry, just loan officers, real estate agents, if you could really like grind harder, like I always say, put in that extra, like if it took you a certain amount of effort before to get a certain amount of business, now you got to put in 3 times the effort to probably get a little less business and just hold on and survive. But if you plant your feet and you have the structure there and it makes sense and it's smart, when the market starts to recover, you should see that you're, like with us, we have a bunch of independent agents. We continue to grow that. They're going to be out there. Times might be tough for them to get transactions. They might be slow, but as we support them, as we give them information to help them grow, in combination with things adjusting in the market, the right forces will meet to where production will increase as things adjust. You know what I mean? But hopefully we can, with through our applied efforts and their applied efforts, still have success during the tough times, but then really reap the benefits of the of whatever market conditions changing later on.
True, man. True.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So that's the mortgage industry. That's fucking, that's what we're dealing with right now. But
to touch base one more time on the Fed, another thing that I think about too, like the Fed, it could only make the S&P and the Nasdaq and all the Dow Jones only so much upset, right? They can only drop so much of these costs down. So eventually they're gonna have to pivot. I'm guessing maybe sometime early next year that we might see some kind of change where they start catering to the investors maybe again, because I feel bad for the people ready to retire now and they're relying on their 401k when they see it kind of really just dropping right now too. So I got some stocks too invested in, and I see it myself how it's dropping. I seen how it was flourishing a year ago, and that's pretty much all washed now. So I think for sure, I think the Fed's gonna be having to do something sometime in early next year, I think, to at least start making some people happy on Wall Street.
So you think? So you're somewhat of the mindset that even if inflation, let's say it's not exactly where they want, they would have to be considerate of.
Yeah, I think the goal they want to get to is like a 2 point something, whatever. I think they're going to come to the reality is that number might not be able to be achievable. So I think they're going to have to just take the wins and take the losses, and if they can meet somewhere in the middle, get into the 4s. I think by that time, they're going to have to reevaluate everything, see how far they really tank the market, and, see if they really want to take that chance of taking a bit more and put people's monies at risk even more. So I personally don't see that happening, but who knows? Only time will tell. So
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Hard to say. I know it's like all these like commentators that I've watched online, it's like they're real confident about something until something else happens and then they switch that shit up real quick. But I feel like with me, I think part of like my personality is not to be too definitive about shit that I don't know.
Right.
But I don't think that that's good journalism. I think good journalism is like, yes, the market is gonna tank, and then later on you come, well, the reason why I fucking said that, they like strong opinions. They like Stephen A. Smith and shit, just this exact no
out there and dramatic or what?
Yeah, out there dramatic. Yeah. No, they don't give any like variance. Like it's either one way or the other. Right. But I get it, to have like a strong opinion. It's like either choose one side, but
sometimes it's hard.
It is shit. Like, especially if you're trying to be authentic. Like for me, I'm only going to really put out there information that I really actually know.
True.
Or I'm going to tell you its opinion and it's, some bullshit. Or not bullshit, but it's based on like my opinion and my speculation or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, on the other note, I know you're more vested in this than I am, but crypto.
Crypto, yeah.
Big crypto. What's your thoughts about the state of crypto? We obviously, like, shit, we were talking like a few weeks ago where I was all excited. Well, not excited, but I was like, dude, like, this was maybe a month ago. Ethereum had dropped to like $9.95.
Right.
And I was like, bro, like, and it dropped to $9.95, and then at this point it had doubled, and it came back to like $19.95, and I was like, bro, if I would have put in $100,000, not that I have $100,000 just to put into fucking crypto,
I don't rely on okay,
but if I would have put in $100,000, it would have already doubled, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe even a little bit more, and you were kind of like, this is probably temporary, and I was like, shit, I don't know enough to even have like a real speculation on it. Fast forward, it was temporary. It's come down to now where it's like maybe $1,300 for Ethereum, $19,000 for Bitcoin, which at that time it was maybe like $22,000.
Yeah, crypto is like a roller coaster right now. It's still a baby. Obviously if all the Wall Street markets are down, crypto's gonna follow it too, right? There's no difference. It's gonna actually get hit even harder. We're seeing it's still kind of like baby tech. It's all speculation right now. But I believe in it, not necessarily all the cryptos, but I believe in, these top ones like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and a few other ones that I feel like, 5-10 years down the line that, they would flourish and become something, in today's world that would be useful basically too. So, it's definitely a risk play, but, after kind of doing my homework for about a year, losing money myself, definitely for sure. I got caught up in this during their bull market in 2021 when I first kind of dove into it. So I saw nothing but ups and ups, So I'm thinking like, oh, great, I'm making money and shit like this. Oh, hell yeah. But little do you know, it's like a roller coaster, right? It goes up and then goes down pretty hard too. It's not like the stock market where it fluctuates maybe 0.5%, 1% is even high for the S&P or the Dow to change. Crypto can fluctuate 10, 20% like that,
Yeah.
So it was, I made mistakes, I made some money, but I also lost quite a bit of money. I should have took profits instead of maybe having a little greed back in my mind. So it is what it is right now. I'm learning about it right now too. So right now, obviously we're in a bear market with crypto. So we might have some ups, like for example, Ethereum with some big things coming up.
Just for our less savvy viewers, when you say bear market versus bull market, because I get the concept now, but like just describe that, like.
Well, like every market, even the stocks, they use it as a bear market. Same thing with crypto. I'm not too definitive about that. I know, like for like Bitcoin, they have these halvings where the amount of Bitcoin you can mine gets split every 4 years. So the way the crypto works is that for the bull market, the bear market, they really base everything on Bitcoin and the halving because it becomes more scarce, basically too. So to mine, so. They just had the halving back in late 2020, so it made it somewhat more scarce previously. So that's kind of initiated the bull market right there.
Okay. And when you're saying bull market, all right. So like I guess like the part I'm talking about, like so bull market meaning that people are like it's on the rise. People,
exactly.
People are making money.
Kind of like everything's going up, right? The S&P's going up. The Nasdaq, the Dow, everything's kind of just slowly going up, but crypto's going up even at a higher rate than that. So it's a bull market. But and they were just I guess it really all depends on what the Fed's giving us, right? Bull market kind of initiated too with the interest rates being so low too. The economy's flourishing, everything's everything's working very well. So crypto's just their bull market's just on steroids compared to everybody else.
Right.
That's all it is too. So now we're in the bear market, when stocks are dropping and things like that, housing's slowly going down and rates are going up, but the crypto bear market, man, it's like when you can see drops in pricing from like 60 to 95% depending on the coins. Bitcoin at one point in time was at like 69,000.
Right.
Now it dropped all the way down at 17,000.
It's at 17,000 right now.
It hit there a couple days ago. It was about 18,000. 18,000. Yeah.
Whew. It's like my friend said. Like it's like it's like trying to catch a falling sword. You just it's like I don't know when. All right, so really quickly, bull market, just for the definition, a market in which share prices are rising, encouraging buying.
Okay.
So let's just throw the bear market in there just so we could be specific on it. All right, bear market, a market in which prices are falling, encouraging selling. There you go. So basic. Yeah. So okay. All right. Yeah. Interesting, man.
Yeah, I mean that's why unfortunately people got caught up in the hype. You start seeing it in the media. Everybody's talking about crypto when the bull market was up. Unfortunately, that was usually the time it was too late. People are the people that are been in crypto for a long time. That's the time that they're slowly getting out. By the time it hit the media, because they can kind of foresee things transitioning in a negative way, so they pulled out.
Right.
And unfortunately, all the new people that came in, like myself or anybody newer than that, took the loss, and they became the exit liquidity for somebody else, basically.
Right, exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I mean, like I said, I still believe in the tech. I'm still slowly investing, kind of like what they call this dollar cost average. You kind of set the amount of money you want to invest either per week, per day, or per month, and it doesn't matter how much the price fluctuates. You're just kind of, reducing your average as much as you can as you go, and I'm just hoping within by 2024, 2025, things flip around, especially for crypto. That's the next, I believe, Bitcoin halving, even making, like I said, Bitcoin more scarce. So we'll see what that ignites. Hopefully that bull market starts again, and then we'll see from there.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. I guess it's one of those things. Like my perspective on crypto kind of comes back to like a very like basic concept of like the utility, right? I think like. This is once again like could always be someone could correct me or give me information that makes me adjust it, but like whenever I do dive in and I get like information from people like you or watch some in-depth like perspective from someone that's really vested in crypto, then I'm like, okay, I see where this will likely become something of like of value, but I always feel like obviously until then it's like it's speculation based. But I guess my basic viewpoint on it is like when this makes life easier in some way, shape, or form, that's when I could see it being as big as they say. Because like right now, I feel like with let's say NFTs or Ethereum being kind of like used for like NFTs, maybe I don't understand enough about it, but I'm like if you can purchase something if you're purchasing it and you're like, okay, the purchase is this, you need this source to purchase it, or you need this currency or this capital to purchase this. I'm like, well, technically, unless there was like some ease of use with that, unless I gained credits through some sort of activity, right? Like I could see that, like if it was like, hey, as part of your daily life that you kind of already live, when you hook your computer, TV, and your cell phone up to this Ethereum based system, it gives you these credits that go into your account that increase your, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, then I could see how like, shit, that makes sense for me immediately. Let me hook everything up to it. Now I'm going to be tapped into this currency, and then all my transactions are protected through some block, okay, now I could start seeing it make sense. Right now, I'm seeing it as like something that they want you to use because like the people that are selling the NFT, they want you to use that because there was like a speculation based potential for them, like they sell you this painting, now it's fucking, they like, well, maybe that's not describing it the best, but you know what I mean? It's like there wasn't like a specific reason why they couldn't sell you that painting with fucking dollars, so I guess that's like my little bit of a block in there, or understanding how they like when they're like the blockchain is so much secure. I'm like, I don't understand how. I feel like it's a fucking computer system that in some way, shape, or form can be hacked. And I was watching this like podcast the other day, and it was talking about the security that the blockchain does allow, but then like they were talking about like numerous incidences, and they directed me to like some website where it literally had just hundreds of fucking stories of different cryptocurrencies that, well, this fucking Viking fucking lost $10 million because this, they got hacked in their wallet.
Yeah, there's a lot of hacks going on in crypto. That's one thing too. A lot of people trying to fool other people. The blockchain is very secure. It's like a digital ledger, so it's it's in the space. So a lot of you can literally see all the transactions. Where like in banks, you don't know what transactions are occurring. You don't know behind the scenes behind that. That's the purpose of the blockchain. It's like an open ledger. There's been some big blockchains that have been hacked, security purposes. So they're constantly like evolving. So to say that they're unhackable or whatever, for lack of better words, they're not quite there. Something like Ethereum, maybe like Binance and maybe like Solana, maybe more secure chains, these upper tier type of chains, but. Yeah, I mean, it's still new tech. I mean, they're still trying to figure stuff out. So,
Give it time.
Give it time. Yeah, like I said, give it time. I see, you're having people like I said, Facebook or Meta nowadays, you call them. I mean, they're investing pretty much a ton of effort just to, create this metaverse, right? So, I just look at a company like that. That's a $1 trillion market cap company that's seen something that's related to like crypto in a way that the common person like us, don't normally see. So I feel like there's something about that tech that's going to be there, yeah, right. So like, it's just hard for us to understand right at this point because we're not there yet.
Right.
So,
well, they like this is like an old adage, I guess you could say. It's like you see further when you stand on the backs of giants,
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like fucking like to think that a company with that much money, that much capital, that much like R&D ability, like even if like they almost, I don't want to say they can't be wrong, but it's like this, like if I was the fucking, like if you're Coca-Cola, like, and they were coming out with like this new inventive soda pop, it's like whether we like it or not, that's going to be the biggest soda on earth because of like who's putting it out. They already own the retailer. They already own the vending machines, So with Facebook having what, 1 billion, a billion users, they almost own the fucking metaverse. Or I won't say own it, but they're the biggest player. You know what I mean? It's like,
they're gonna create their own metaverse. A lot of people are gonna create their own.
They're gonna buy up metaverses and then make the metaverses. And it's always gonna be beneficial for someone to sell into it unless they just have a big vision and already are wealthy. Because most people are gonna be like, shit, like WhatsApp. They're like, okay, well, we can either keep building what we have and do what we do, or Facebook bought them, right? It's good. Like for a lot of people, they're willing to sell their shit to level up, which will make it to where now that shit's Facebook's, and Facebook's vision of the whole thing is going to be what's implemented.
And if you think about it, just using Facebook or WhatsApp or Snapchat or Instagram, I mean, years back when we were growing up, we probably wouldn't even fathom that tech. If we were told that, we probably wouldn't think too much about it. Like, oh yeah, even when I was on Facebook in the beginning, I used to think like, Instagram, okay, that's pictures. What's the point? I can put that on Facebook. You know what I mean? Literally, we know how valuable Instagram is now, and probably even more users on Instagram now than on Facebook.
For sure.
And then even like now TikTok, right? It's like, man, I just can't wrap my head around this stuff, but that's what it is. I mean, this new tech just keeps coming out. So
sure.
Until I'm proven wrong, or until it proves me wrong, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. Just overall the crypto industry, I think it'll grow. I think it's here to stay. We're watching now Biden coming out with regulations now, to regulate crypto. So that's actually a good thing, even though it's a negative thing initially because they're gonna put their footprint down on certain things, but they know that's basically saying it's here to stay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what me and wifey were talking about the other day, because they were talking about like trying to like shore up some of the loopholes that people were trying to like with taxes, and that was my first statement. I'm like, if they're trying to shore up loopholes related to taxes, then they kind of have to legitimize it. You know what I mean? Like they have to put it in writing. They have to like create laws around it, which should increase the value.
True.
All right. One last little deep dive.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely pushing on a nice little block of info. Hey, while you're here, like and subscribe, man. If you've been soaking up all this good game,
click that button.
Yeah, click that button, and drop a comment, correct us where we're wrong. But last thing, the one thing that does make me really, gives me like confidence that crypto. Well, let me take that back. I don't know necessarily what Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to do, right? None of us do. I don't really have like a clear perspective, and the main reason is because people like fucking, like Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all these people, I'm like, I think a lot of things nowadays are notoriety and fame based. Mm-hmm. So like, what would stop them from creating their own thing? Or is Ethereum and Bitcoin so far down the line that it just makes more sense for them to use those things? Yeah. But outside of that, the metaverse, right? Like me and my cousins were on like a little group text going back and forth, and like one of my cousins, Jordan, he's like a little bit more like pessimistic about the metaverse and shit. He's just like, like that's, it's bullshit. I don't really see how it's gonna work. And I'm just like, he likes to fish, Okay. So I'm like, bro, like he really loves fishing. So I'm like, I know that if there was some like famous fisher guy that you knew of that was like super skilled, and he was doing like some like basically set it up to where it was like online training, but it was like in the metaverse. Oh shit. It was in the metaverse, right? Yeah. Where you log in with your avatar and shit, and you're able to kind of sit there in the same room. Maybe like right now the characters look too like kiddie. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I could see how like that, like for sure my cousin probably like, shit, I'll pay $25 right now to sit in with this pro, like, and he's gonna give some exclusive tips. I'm like, dude, that shit's gonna be happening all day long. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things that, because like for the most part, like when I have used like an Oculus or like, that type of system, shit's pretty immersive. Yeah. Once you go in there, you're like, oh shit, you start looking around, you start feeling like, damn, I could see how this is going to slowly advance and just become, there's probably going to be like bodysuits you can put on that give you little vibrations, give you little pushes. And so I'm like, I already know, like, even if like your most like non-tech friendly person is like, nope, not me. There's so many people that are going to be trapped in that shit. Like, dude, the other day, Melina's friend, Jackie, she came over. Jackie is like way further down that path than us. She plays that game, what is it, SimCity?
Oh, okay.
Where they're creating and building different cities and shit, and I'm like, that I could see that I'm sure that they will create their own little metaverse, because that's a pretty big game. It's kind of like Roblox and stuff like that for kids, where you're basically building buildings and creating your own little
city
shit.
Town.
Yeah, a little town, little office buildings and all that stuff. So, like, I think that like when that becomes like, not for her right now, she's doing it for fun, right? Mm. She enjoys it. There's probably like some sort of therapeutic side to like, like just like when I'm drawing and shit. But like once that gets linked into the greater metaverse, right, and there becomes like some sort of like function where her company has like their metaverse place. Hey, we're gonna have a company meeting. It's in here. It's in the metaverse. Yeah. She's gonna be in there already, probably for some work shit. And you can kind of toggle between both sides of it. But once there's actually like a monetization part of that, like which they're like, all right. So what was I just doing? Where they're like, oh, like for YouTube, they're now like they're trying to monetize the shorts, right? Like because right now the short videos that you make, they're not monetized yet. I think they're just barely introducing it. But my point is like, in let's say that SimCity thing, once there's like a monetization side of it where it's like, hey, look, you already like building these structures, build further structures, and for every structure you get a little piece of Ethereum, or you get.
Well, sorry to cut you off, but that's kind of what the gaming industry is doing right now. Like they have what they call play to earn, where a lot of these developers in crypto are developing games where you can play these games, probably not as detailing graphics like an Xbox or PlayStation quite yet, but the difference is that you can win money from that in the sense of the crypto. Right. So that's where I feel like it's gonna be so big, because the gaming industry is gonna change to being online towards crypto, that people are gonna want to not only play the game that they love, but they can win cryptocurrency back to it and exchange it for fiat money. You know what I mean? So I think that's gonna be huge.
Oh my god,
it's a baby right now, and I think it's just gonna be so big. Because you think of how big gaming is nowadays. I mean, shit.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I just couldn't fathom how big gaming is. I mean, shoot, I look on ESPN, I see like a time slot for tournaments for just people playing games. Yeah. I could never think about that. And there's a lot of kids that make a lot of money being sponsored and just being excellent at games. Now, just a common person like me and you, or our kids when they grow up and they want to play games, something they really love, they can win money doing so.
For sure. And like it's crazy because nowadays you ask kids what they want to be, and a lot of them will tell you some gaming shit. I want to be a gamer. Yeah. But what I was going to say on that note of what you're saying, that's like so crazy, because like when you think about like wealth and inequality, that's where a lot of times when people talk about like crypto and the metaverse and shit like that, like through like an equality sense, I'm like, I could truly see like some kids in a third world country fucking playing games, getting themselves out of poverty.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like building
yeah.
like net worth, gaining stocks, whatever. And yeah, that's dope.
And to touch base on that, what you're saying, like these third world countries like Africa, I touched base with you in the past, but like
I gotta be Africa, huh?
Yeah, that's where like some of these cryptos are really, you know, targeting these areas because a lot of these people, unfortunately, don't have the ability to have a banking system.
Oh yeah, exactly.
They can't transfer money, so these crypto platforms, these like Ethereum or Cardano, are coming out with that tech. We're allowing these people to be banked for the first time, allowing them to have Bitcoin and things like that, allowing them to transfer money from one part of the world to another part of the world with the ease. You know what I mean? So
yeah, dude.
That's where I think crypto is really going to stand. It's going to help a lot of people in that sense, in these other small countries where they don't have the privilege like we do.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Like, your privilege will block you out from certain things, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a loss. Like, so on that note, so like if you're so privileged, right, to have a bank account, right? Like, and I'm using the privilege word like a little exaggerated, but if you're so privileged to have a bank account, to have a a local bank to walk into, then you're not going to think of like the benefits of an alternative source like Cash App or something. You know what I mean? Like, just like if you're so privileged to have a car, you're gonna drive past fucking everything on this block, which might be something that's beneficial for you. You might have drove past this little fucking storefront that's for sale because it's like, so certain things that you have, certain things that might be your advantage are also gonna be your weakness. But like the whole Cash App thing, I was watching this podcaster, DJ Ghost. Shout out DJ Ghost. But yeah, he did this little podcast where this fool's riding on a scooter in Vegas, and he went and pulled up on a spot to get some weed and shit, right, from the homie, and it was just like some dudes hanging out in a little apartment complex in Vegas, and he pulls up on the little scooter and he's like, hey, how much for whatever. The guy, like, he pulls it out, and I guess he knew the guy. It wasn't like some random shit. He gave him the shit. He's like, how much? He's like, $30. He's like, all right. He's like, you got Cash App? And the guy's like, no, I don't got Cash App. He's like, I got Apple Pay.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you would just expect, your expectation would be that he would pull out cash and boom, boom, boom. But I'm sure if you talk to a homie, he's probably understand certain benefits of not having fucking cash on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and not just in like the illegal sense, like, hey, I'm a D-boy or I'm selling shit, so I don't want to have cash on me. But just like, a lot of times you just don't think of like how other people see certain things and why it could be beneficial. And that kind of like, sometimes it's hard to think outside of your experience, but just seeing that, I was like, wow, he's trying to pay him with Cash App, which means that he has funds that have gone into his Cash App that he didn't feel the need to transfer to his bank account.
Right.
Because he exchanges with other people that way, and then he's on the other end, he's found it more convenient to use Apple Pay as, for whatever reason. But it just kind of tells you that there are benefits to it, even though your comfort might be in what you already kind of use. You should really look and see why things are beneficial to other people, which would probably open you up to like investments that are kind of outside of just what you like and what what makes sense for you right now.
Yeah. No, for sure, 100% agree.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man. Any closing words on this first little podcast? We're gonna come up for a name for this thing, But
everything was on the fly today. So I mean, just appreciate everybody watching. Like I said, if you haven't clicked and subscribed, click that button now, please. We really appreciate it. It really gets the word out. Hopefully some of this information we shared today was a little bit useful to you.
Sure.
Anything that you kind of disagree about, please leave the comments, and we'll be definitely open to hear all that.
Yeah, I think like, on this podcast, obviously we're kind of like freestyle and just like, topical and shit.
Right.
You'll know when I'm trying to actually articulate some information that I know, because I'm going to be a little bit more exact.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe next time we'll pick up some specific topics. But I think that like obviously the goal is to create value, give information, but really just have like interesting conversations that spark interest and probably like push someone to like do something that could benefit them, grow their wealth. Probably gonna generally be geared around like finances, wealth building, what's going on in the market, everything, but it's all tied together, what I mean? Like politics will come in there, art, comes into the conversation when you're talking about wealth and shit like that. So we're just gonna play it by ear and have some fun and grow.
True.
So thanks for checking in. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Oh man, that was a good one.